Here are some of the interesting facts that prove the existence of Bigfoot. Number 10. 2018 Bigfoot sighting. Over the decades, the mystery behind Bigfoot's existence has prompted thousands of people to search in the woods for a mythical creature. The latest encounter was actually recorded on video. A family in Canada was able to spot a 10-foot-tall animal wandering around the woods. The video shows a human-like figure walking around the edge of a snow-capped river for a moment and then going back into the woods. Now, should we assume this is clear evidence of Bigfoot? For many people, given the hoaxes that have been discovered in the past, it's only another attempt to make the myth around this creature even bigger. There is no information about the people that shot the video, nor the exact location where it was recorded. Is this hard evidence that proves Bigfoot is actually a real animal? I mean, why can't it be just a black bear standing up and walking around on its hind leg? Number 9. Footprints and sound. Experts from all over the world have debated for years about how relevant it is to actually search for Bigfoot. Still, many people do it quietly, since the scientific community frowns on anyone publicly acknowledging they're searching for the creature, and to be honest, I don't blame the scientists. Such is the case of wildlife biologist John Bindermagel, who in 1988 found his first ever piece of evidence that would lead him to start a decades-long investigation on Bigfoot. Bindernagel, who kept quiet about his finding until 1994, first found a 16-inch long footprint in Strathcona Provincial Park in Canada. While on a hiking trip, he encountered the huge footprint stomped right on the ground. Years after this, in 1992, he heard what he's certain to this day was the growl of Bigfoot, a resounding whoo, whoo, whoop, that was heard throughout the Comox Lake in British Columbia. Well, all of this is according to Bindermagel, who was completely alone at the time. He compared it to a similar cry he had heard from a chimpanzee in Uganda, thousands of miles away from the cold Canadian lake where he heard Bigfoot. But really, is this guy off his rocker? Can we just trust one guy's word? Number 8. Hairy evidence. What makes the case for Bigfoot so interesting is that the number of encounters never cease to stop. Yet, there seems to be no concrete evidence whatsoever confirming Bigfoot's existence. You'd by now have to think that either Bigfoot doesn't exist or he's a super intelligent animal and doesn't want to be found. One of the only cases in which physical evidence of Bigfoot was found was collected by French adventurer Christophe Hagemuller, who claims to own a piece of hair that belonged to what he believes was Bigfoot. The Royal Society performed genetic analysis of hair samples attributed to Yeti, Bigfoot, and other unusual primates. They found that many of the delivered hair samples, including Hagemuller samples, could be easily tracked to the DNA of local animals. These animals include wolves, domestic dogs, polar and American black bears, as well as raccoons. While the study didn't have the presence of unidentified DNA, which of course strengthens the existence of Bigfoot, it also didn't categorically refute its existence. But I mean, it's just hard to prove something doesn't exist. It's way easier to prove something exists than the other way around. Number 7. Native American folklore. Bigfoot has had a historically important presence in Native American folklore. Supposedly, some Native Americans believe that Bigfoot is the boundary between human and animal consciousness. This makes it a common character in many of the stories that surrounds the culture. Given the substantial and diverse spread of Native Americans, their stories will reference Bigfoot in many different ways. One thing they have in common is how none of them attribute anything special to its physical appearance, although many tribes think there is more to its spiritual significance. Many communities, such as the Sioux, the Iroquois, and the Hopi, believe that its similarity to humans has a hidden meaning. Some communities in Alaska think Bigfoot's the carrier of important messages of change and cleanse, as he's a creature that appears during troubled times to help them be more connected with Mother Nature. There's a strong idea among the majority of Native American tribes that Bigfoot's presence is a clear warning of humankind's misbehavior. Number 6. Dr. KRANTZ'S examination of casts. Dr. Grover Krantz from Washington State University was the first serious academic to formally pursue and investigate Bigfoot. This only made him an infamous star in the world of conspiracy theories, but as expected, he was constantly ignored by mainstream media with regards to his findings. So he decided to publish numerous research papers aimed at audiences who were unacquainted with the scientific data surrounding Bigfoot in an effort to bring some light into the matter. He also appeared on various TV shows talking about it. KRANTZ'S theory stated that Bigfoot first entered the continent by walking through the Bering Strait around 70,000 BC. KRANTZ actually was the first to call Bigfoot Sasquatch, a term he came up with based on the native Canadian term Saskets, which means wild man. But his most famous contribution was the analysis he performed on a series of casts and footprints named Cripplefoot, found in various Washington forests. The Cripplefoot tracks supposedly showed, essentially, fingerprints and injuries tentatively identified as clubfoot. KRANTZ also attempted to have both the FBI and Scotland Yard study the fingerprint patterns. It was told by renowned fingerprint expert John Barry that Scotland Yard had concluded the prints were probably real. Supposedly, there was no way anyone could have created a remarkably realistic cast like that. But if it were real, why couldn't it just be an extra-large bear with an extra-large foot? Number 5. Canadian evidence. The fight to prove the existence of Bigfoot is one that has taken years, and still to this day, no one has been able to present any solid evidence. You guys starting to catch the drift here? Bigfoot doesn't like being found. That, and Bigfoot likes it cold. Well, one man in Canada, Todd Standing, claimed that he has irrefutable, yes, irrefutable evidence that Bigfoot is real. Standing claimed to have Bigfoot hair, but a lab that studied it said that it was just human hair or that of another species. Bummer. Of course, the government denied his claims and declared his evidence as not worthy, which prompted Standing to file a civil suit against the government of British Columbia. Seriously, some people just have too much time on their hands. He wants Sasquatch to become a national protected species, a recognition that only certain endangered animals such as the Vancouver Island marmot, the sea otter, and the beluga whale have received. But these guys actually have proved that they exist. Supposedly, the trial that's supposed to be taking place sometime in 2018 is going to have resounding physical evidence, testimonies from eyewitnesses, and even declarations from people with PhDs. Well, should we be holding our breath here? Yeah, probably. Number 4. Sightings on Mount Rainier. Washington State seems to be the focal point of all Bigfoot-related activity. This northwestern state is the place where most sightings have been registered, with 110 and counting. Mount Rainier, a location that has become highly popular among Bigfoot-obsessed people, is what many experts now call the home of Bigfoot. Many people claim to have seen Bigfoot walking around certain areas of the national park from as early as 1912. Back in 1948, in Mad Lake, a man supposedly saw a 6-foot-tall creature squatting in the water. He first thought it was another man, but later realized that the person wasn't actually a person at all because he was all covered in black hair. This wasn't the only encounter, of course. In 1964, another man claimed Bigfoot came into his camp. This 7-foot-tall specimen supposedly had remarkably thick legs and dangling arms, features that, of course, don't belong to a bear. There are plenty of stories such as these that all happened on Mount Rainier. I guess if you're desperate to see Bigfoot, that's where you want to go. Number 3. Curious tracks. And we're traveling back to guess where? Washington. Back in 2000, 2 researchers analyzing some curious tracks found at the Lower Hoh Indian Reservation in Washington came to 2 drastically different conclusions. One of them, a professor from Idaho State University, concluded there was not enough evidence to determine the tracks belonged to the creature many had described as Bigfoot. However, the other guy, Cliff Crook, a notorious Bigfoot investigator, said the exact opposite. Crook said that from his research, he discovered the animal is around 8 feet tall and weighed around 600 pounds. Crook even eventually decided to set up a permanent camp on the Hoh Reservation so he could constantly study the clues he had found. Although many other investigators have seen the area, all of them state there is not enough evidence to say that the curious tracks found belong to Bigfoot. Yeah. Number 2. The Patterson-Gimlin film. This video is essentially the most famous piece of evidence that Bigfoot exists. This was the holy grail that created a generation of Bigfoot investigators roaming the Pacific Northwest forests. Back in 1967, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin filmed footage of Bigfoot walking around on the gravel sandbar at Bluff Creek on the border of Oregon and California. On October 20th, 1967, Patterson and Gimlin were horseback riding around the area when they supposedly spotted Bigfoot. Patterson fell off his horse out of shock, but was able to grab his camera and film the encounter. As Patterson approached Bigfoot, it slowly started walking back to the woods from the sandbar. To this day, this short footage has been used as the main reference for all investigations regarding Bigfoot. To be honest, this just looks like some dude in a monkey suit walking around. What do you guys think? Number 1. Man in Utah found a Bigfoot skull. Ogden, Utah is no stranger to Bigfoot theories. The site has served as one of the many places where people have supposedly found numerous pieces of evidence that confirm the existence of the creature. Recently, Todd May, a resident of the area, found what he considers is an undeniable confirmation that Bigfoot exists and wanders around his backyard. Even if experts have come forward to confirm that the object he found is in fact just a rock. Yeah. During a routine hike near his house, May came across what he still believes is a fossil of Bigfoot's skull. The 75-pound object, or rock, was hidden underground, untouched. May decided to dig it out and has now publicly presented it as evidence for the existence of Bigfoot. Again, experts have said it's just a very old rock. It's just a rock, people. Apparently, this wasn't May's first encounter with Bigfoot. May claims he saw Bigfoot right in front of him a few years ago, locked eyes with him before rapidly running away from him. Okay, here's what's next.
Cut it open. They were surprised to find a whole bunch of eggs in it. The snake, which was likely an African rock python, was pregnant and was about to give birth to dozens of eggs. The eggs are actually considered a delicacy, so it was kind of a good score for the villagers. While the villagers misread this particular situation,